Welcome back. I have another version of Little Red Riding Hood to read to you. This is called Little Red Riding Hood, and it is, I think, a classic version. We'll see. It's from my school library, and I've actually not read this book before, so it'll be a fun surprise for both of us. A long time ago, there it is. So it's like a once upon a time story. It means the same thing, long, long ago. A long time ago, in a simple cottage beside the deep dark woods, there lived a pretty child called Red Riding Hood. She was kind and considerate, and everybody loved her. Considerate means really thoughtful. One afternoon, Red Riding Hood's mother called out to her. "Granny isn't feeling up to snuff today," she said, "so I've baked her favorite custard as a little surprise. Be a good girl and take it to her, will you?" Little Red Riding Hood was delighted. She loved going to Granny's, even though it meant crossing the deep, dark wood. When the custard had cooled, Red Riding Hood's mother wrapped it up and put it in a basket. That's familiar. That's been true of a lot of our stories, that they've had a basket and someone wearing a red hood or a red cloak. "Now, whatever you do," she said, "go straight to Granny's, and do not tarry, do not speak, or talk to strangers," talk to strangers. "Yes, Mamma," said Little Red Riding Hood. Before long, she was in the deepest part of the woods. "Oh," she said, "this is scary." Oh my goodness, I just noticed something. Do you see something? Look closely at the trees. Do you notice somebody hiding behind the trees? Suddenly, a large wolf appeared. "Good afternoon, my dear," he said. "Care to stop for a little chat?" "Oh, gracious me," said Red Riding Hood. "Mamma said not to speak to strangers." But the wolf had such charming manners. "And where are you going, sweet thing?" he said. "I'm on my way to visit Granny, who lives in the pretty yellow house on the other side of the woods," said Little Red Riding Hood. "She's feeling poorly, and I'm taking her a surprise." "You don't say," said the wolf. Just then he had a delightful idea. "No reason why I can't eat them both," he thought. "You never know what it might be lurking. Oh, whoops. I can eat them both," he thought. "Allow me to escort you." If somebody escorts you, they take you and guide you along, he said. "You never know what might be lurking about." "You're too kind," said Little Red Riding Hood. Lurking means hiding. Beyond the forest, they came to a patch of sunflowers. "Why not pick a few?" suggested the wolf. "Granny loves flowers, you know." But while Red Riding Hood was picking a pretty bouquet, the clever wolf hurried on ahead to Granny's house. This happened in the first version of Little Red Riding Hood that I did on the show, on the Hour Power show. Here's another pattern, picking flowers for Granny. "Who is it?" called out Granny. "It is I, your delicious, darling granddaughter," said the wolf in a high-pitched voice. "The door is unlocked," said Granny. That sneaky wolf. "Surprise!" cried the wolf. Granny was furious at having her reading interrupted. "Get out of here, you horrid thing," she cried. Horrid means awful. But the wolf gobbled her right up. He didn't even bother to chew. "Tasty," he said, patting his belly. "So tasty." Just then he heard footsteps on the garden path. "Here comes dessert." And losing no time, he put on Granny's cap and glasses and jumped into her bed and pulled up the covers. "Who is it?" he cried out in his sweetest granny voice. "It is I, your little granddaughter," said Little Red Riding Hood. "The door is unlocked," said the wolf. Look at his feet in the bed. Red Riding Hood was distressed. Distressed means upset and kind of stressed out at seeing her grandmother so changed. "Why, Granny," she said, "what big eyes you have!" "The better to see you, my dear," said the wolf. "And Granny, what long arms you have!" "The better to hug you, my dear," said the wolf. "And Granny, what big teeth you have!" "The better to eat you, my dear," cried the wolf. And he gobbled her right up. "I'm so wicked," he said, "so wicked." But really he was enormously pleased with himself. And having enjoyed such a heavy meal, he was soon snoring away. A hunter passed by and was alarmed by the frightful racket. "That doesn't sound like Granny," he said. And so the brave hunter jumped in the window, killed the sleeping wolf, and cut him open. Out jumped Granny and Little Red Riding Hood. "We are ever so grateful," said Red Riding Hood. "That wicked wolf won't trouble you again," said the hunter. "It was so dark in here that I couldn't read a word," said Granny. Red Riding Hood promised never, ever to speak to another stranger, charming manners or not. So glad they're okay. I was very concerned when I heard that the wolf ate them. Apparently he didn't chew them up at all. And she never did. Oh, look it. An alligator's trying to convince her to stop and chat, and she's not having it. I think she learned her lesson. Have a great day, boys and girls. I'll see you next time.